Lisa Taylor. Welcome to the program. You know when you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and you get really kind of upset with them and you start thinking negative things and oh my gosh. Well then, 2 seconds later you recognize the license plate, oh wait, and you recognize the car and you realize that's a really good friend of yours. And then you go, oh, they must have been in a hurry or there was a reason why, and we forgive that offense that we were so upset about 2 seconds before. Has that ever happened to you? Well, that happened to me. And it made me think very, very deeply about how I respond to those who I don't think I know, and perhaps give those who I know a much bigger break than those I don't know. And somebody sort of shared this idea with me, what if that were your mother? How would you then be responding to the person in the car? And I thought, it is so telling about how we view other people. If we know them, we are apt to give them the benefit of the doubt, forgive them much bigger sins or mistakes. We're apt to sort of ascribe to them a greater sense of morality and goodness and character and whatever it is that we need to ascribe to them to let them off the hook. So why is that? Because we know them. We know who they are deep down inside. Well, what do you say we do this with people we don't know? What if people we don't know who cut us off or offend us or do something that we sort of react to and think is horrible, what if we turn it around and we ascribe to them the best qualities we can possibly ascribe to a human, to a being, to the nature of man, and we give them the benefit of the doubt? That's when healing can occur. So I got an email from somebody, and thank you so much for all your emails. I actually really love responding to you guys. And I picked this one to talk about because it's so simple and we get hooked so easily. We get hooked easily, but the solution is so simple. Let me put it that way. The need in this practical science that we're applying, this science of love, this science of truth, the science of these laws of the divine laws, the laws of adjustment and the laws of alignment and the laws of, a lot of people know about the law of attraction, though it's misinterpreted a lot. But these laws, these divine laws of life, truth, and love, they're so simple to apply. And if we ascribe to our fellow man goodness and love and brilliance, and we start with perfection, that's the simplicity of this. Instead of starting with this person who's making all these mistakes and they need to grovel their way back to perfection, we're starting with the imperfect and trying to build on that to make perfect. That's impossible. We have to start with perfection. I know I do. That's where I start in my thought. If I'm really trying to overcome seeing somebody very negatively, I need to erase that from my thinking and I need to start with what I call perfection, or what is known in this science as perfect man. Perfect God, perfect man. And if you don't like the word God, substitute any one of the synonyms: love, truth, principle, soul, mind, whatever works for you. It doesn't matter. The linguistics of it don't really matter. Start with perfect love. Start with perfect life, the creator of all that is. Start with perfection and understand what that is and work your way out in your thought from that. This is what I have to do. So I work my way out from perfection, and I now see through the lens of perfection at the other individual. First, I see it as myself, and then I see it outwardly. So what does that mean for the guy cutting me off on the road? That means that this is not to excuse bad behavior. This is not to excuse people who are doing stuff that is really wrong. That's behavior. We're talking about the identity of the individual. So the identity of the person driving the car is intelligent. They are intelligent. They express the omniscience of all. They have a full capacity for life and well-being and grace and goodness and forgiveness, and they express and experience the fullness of intelligence, the fullness of compassion, the fullness of good decision making, the fullness of everything good that I can ascribe to a being on the planet. And when I see someone else that way, number one, I have to see myself that way first, or I can't ascribe it to anybody else. When I see someone else that way, I'm much more apt to see that whatever behavior doesn't align with that is not really who they are in truth. Who they are in truth is someone who would be conscious, someone who would be aware, someone who would not be selfish or cut somebody off without thinking about it. And it doesn't excuse the bad behavior, but it's like separating the mistake from the individual, if that makes sense. We can still love someone. So if it were, so to go back kind of full circle to where we started, if it were somebody who we knew, we would ascribe to them all the goodness of who we know them to be, and we would just say, oh, they just made a mistake. Their behavior didn't line up with who they are. That's not to excuse the mistake. That's just to say, you know what? That doesn't sync up with who you are. So we're not identifying them with the mistake. I hope that helps. I may have talked in a circle a little bit, but I hope it helps, and I hope the example helps. And the person who wrote in actually was asking me how to pray about someone in their family who was not feeling well and was really struggling with an illness. And the idea of starting with perfection and how we see other people through the lens of perfection comes up in that question. And that is where I always begin a treatment. Allay the fear and start with perfection. Start with perfect God, perfect man. Does that mean I'm seeing a physical human as perfect? No. There is no human perfection. There is no human person who is the identity of this person. When the body disappears, if we were to attach identity to a physical body, then when the body disappears or somebody loses an arm, they lose part of who they are? No. That's not where identity exists. Identity exists in spirit, in love, in truth, all spiritual nature, which has nothing to do with the physical manifestation of something. It's not like there's an indwelling spirit. Spirit is spirit. Spirit cannot be matter. Spirit is all. Therefore, matter is nothing. So when we're talking about man's perfection, we're not talking about physical perfection or human perfection. We're talking about spiritual perfection. We're talking about the identity of man as spirit, as love, as truth, as qualities of God. I hope that helps. All right, so definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. Definitely share this out with friends who you might think would like these ideas. And comment below. I love to hear your comments, and if you would rather do it more privately, absolutely email ideasontruth@gmail.com. I always try to get back to you as quickly as I can, though there were a few recently that got lost in the flurry, and I do apologize for that. But I love that you're watching. Thank you so much for your comments, and tune in again. Talk to you soon.